Right now, without meaning to, you are reading my face. You have been doing it since before you could speak, before you could walk, before you had a single memory worth keeping. The moment a human face entered your field of vision, something deep and very old inside you locked onto it. You did not choose this, you cannot stop it. And the reason why reaches back further than you might expect. Here is what makes this strange. Your brain has a region dedicated entirely to recognizing faces, not objects, not landscapes, not words on a page, faces. It is called the fusiform face area, and it sits in the temporal lobe, and it fires with almost embarrassing enthusiasm the moment it detects two eyes and a mouth arranged in the right order. Neuroscientist Nancy Kanwisher at MIT spent years mapping exactly what activates this region and what does not. The answer was surprisingly specific: faces, almost exclusively faces. But here is where it gets interesting. You do not need a real face for it to trigger. You have seen a face in a cloud. You have spotted eyes in the wood grain of a door. You have watched the front of a car and felt briefly like it was looking at you. This is not imagination running loose. This is your brain doing exactly what it was built to do. Scientists call it pareidolia. But the deeper name for it is threat detection that never turns off. Think about what your ancestors actually needed to survive. Not tools, though tools helped. Not fire, though fire changed everything. What they needed, above almost anything else, was to read each other. To know in a fraction of a second whether the face moving toward them across the savannah meant safety or danger, whether the eyes that found them across a fire were warm or calculating, whether the slight tightening around a mouth was trust or the beginning of betrayal. Getting that wrong even once could mean death. Psychologist Paul Ekman spent decades studying what he called basic emotions, the expressions that appear on human faces across every culture on Earth, regardless of language, geography, or social custom. Anger, fear, disgust, surprise, sadness, happiness. He found that a Fore tribesman in Papua New Guinea who had never seen a television or a Westerner recognized the same expressions you recognize without thinking. The face is a universal language your brain learned before any other, and your brain is extraordinarily fast at reading it. Research from the lab of Nalini Ambady showed that people form impressions of a face in as little as 100 milliseconds, 1/10 of a second. Before conscious thought has even assembled itself, your brain has already filed a judgment. Trustworthy or not, threatening or not, strong or weak, healthy or ill. You are not aware this is happening. It simply happens. This is why you notice a face before you notice almost anything else in a visual scene. Put a face anywhere in an image and the eye travels to it first. Marketers have known this for decades. Billboards with faces outsell billboards without them. Websites with human photographs hold attention longer than those without. Your attention is not neutral. It is magnetized. It has been magnetized since birth and probably long before. Here is a number worth sitting with. Studies on newborns, infants only minutes old, who have never seen a television advertisement, never been taught what a face means, never had time to learn anything, show a preference for face-like arrangements of dots over scrambled patterns. Minutes old, not days, minutes. The preference is not learned, it arrives with you. Psychologist Mark Johnson at Birkbeck University ran a landmark study showing that newborns will track a face-like image with their eyes, even when they will not track a non-face image with the same number of elements. The system is online before the lights fully come on. Before language, before memory, before almost anything else, your face detection system is running. But why? Why is this wired so deep and so early? Consider what a face actually communicates in a social species. It tells you who this individual is. It tells you their emotional state right now. It tells you, with surprising accuracy, something about their age, their health, their hormonal state. It gives you signals about dominance and submission that are older than language. A downward gaze means something different from a direct stare. A micro-expression that lasts for 1/25th of a second can betray a lie the person is working hard to tell. Your face reads all of it before you consciously process any of it. This is a survival machine that has been refined over millions of years of social living, and it has costs you carry into modern life without realizing it. You overread faces in situations where faces are not relevant. You see intent in a neutral expression. You assume someone is angry when they are simply tired. You read coldness in someone looking away from you when they are merely distracted. Because your face reading system evolved in a world where every face you encountered belonged to someone in your immediate social group, someone whose mood and motives affected you directly, someone who could help you or harm you. Today, your face reading system encounters the faces of strangers it will never interact with again. It processes the faces of actors on a screen as if the emotions are directed at you personally. Research published in the journal Neuropsychologia found that the fusiform face area activates when you look at photographs of strangers, just as it does when you look at people you know. Your brain does not fully distinguish between the two, it simply responds. This is why you feel a strange pull watching a performer cry, why you feel vaguely uneasy when someone holds eye contact just a second too long, why you feel inexplicably comforted when someone who has no idea you exist smiles at the camera in a photograph. The system is not broken, it is just operating in a world it was not designed for. There is something almost moving about that when you sit with it. Your brain evolved in a world where every face was precious information, where reading a face correctly could mean the difference between alliance and isolation, between safety and attack. You carry that ancient urgency everywhere you go now, into crowded subway cars, into endless feeds of images, into every Zoom call where you find yourself studying the tiles of faces more closely than you ever studied a page of text. You cannot help it. The oldest parts of you are still scanning, still deciding friend or threat, warm or cold, known or unknown. Still doing what your ancestors did, in the firelight, at the edge of the world, when every face in the dark was a question your survival depended on answering. And the next time you catch yourself staring a fraction too long at a stranger's face, or finding eyes in the knots of a wooden door, or feeling a sudden connection to someone on a screen who has never once looked back at you, you will know exactly what is happening. It is not imagination, it is the oldest thing you have. It is still reading the room.